But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Have nothing to do with them.
Hi, I'm Mark Keeler, CEO and Executive Producer for Cross TV. I'd like to take this opportunity to forewarn you to brace yourself, because what you're about to see is hardcore truth. And viewer and parental discretion is definitely advised, because there are some very graphic scenes that we had to put into this 4-part series. But the point is, this is the kind of hardcore truth that much of the mainstream media would do everything they could to keep hidden from your eyes. In fact, this documentary is the result of years of research, compiled and narrated by Pastor Joe Schimmel, who before he became a Christian was himself a rock musician on his way to realizing that very lifestyle. And so he can testify to the validity of the truths presented in this 4-part special. You won't be seeing this information anytime soon on MTV, VH1, 2020, or even 60 Minutes, because we're going to go behind the scenes and examine the true history of rock and roll in many of secular music's most popular artists. And that means that we're going to be taking a look at some of the darker sides of those industries, particularly from a spiritual perspective that frankly usually doesn't get a lot of media attention. So stay with us as we go behind the scenes of the pop, country, and rock music industries and take a look at those associated with it and see for ourselves how they sold their souls for rock and roll.
Neil Young once wrote a song about the true meaning of rock and roll. It goes like this: hey, hey, my, rock and roll will never die. There's more to the picture than meets the eye. Well, that's exactly what this rockumentary is about. It's about those parts of the picture that don't meet the eye at first glance. But once they're brought into focus, you start to see the whole picture. A picture that the closer you look, the darker and darker it gets.
Music is a magical gift.
At the Grammys, subsequent to the Columbine Massacre, after giving out awards to rock and rap artists promoting violence, Michael Green, the president of the Recording Academy, made the following hypocritical statement. Green claimed that music can be used as a solution for violence, but was never the cause.
And let's not forget that the arts are a compelling solution to teen violence. They're certainly not the cause of it.
Is that true? Is it possible that music can, on the one hand, solve teen violence and, on the other hand, not be capable of causing that same violence? Well, let's take a close look at the facts, and then you'll be able to make an informed judgment for yourself. Let's start by going back in time a few years to 1999, to what was, at the time, a typical Midwestern high school. A high school that, in a single day, was ripped from relative anonymity onto the front pages and headlines of national newscasts all over the country. Because it was the day Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold went on a killing rampage, slaughtering, in cold blood, 15 students in those terrifying hours.
Good evening, everyone. The reaction of so many people today was, oh no, not again, another high school.
The guy at a table right next to us, next to me and her, and they just shot him.
Our schools are turning into killing fields.
And after 8 school shootings in 2 years, many wonder, how could it happen again?
Why is this happening?
One of the answers to the question why has been right under our noses all along. While there were various influences in Klebold and Harris's lives, none of those influences were so treasured as their music. Here we see Dylan Klebold with one of their favorite band's names emblazoned across his shirt. KMFDM are an acrostic for the German words that mean no pity for the masses. This is exactly what Klebold and Harris displayed on April 20th at the Columbine Massacre. Drawings of Satan, demons, and bombs were displayed throughout Eric Harris's website. But on the front page of the website were the words from songs by KMFDM. Words that would later chillingly strike all too close to home for those who went to Columbine. Words like shockwave, massive attack, atomic blast, son of a gun is back.
Why is this happening? Why is this happening?
They're certainly not the cause of it. Not the cause of it.
Klebold and Harris fulfilled the words of KMFDM and other groups like actors following a script. Other declarations on Harris's website stated, "What I don't like, I waste. I have come to shake your faith." KMFDM also has songs like Under Satan. With bombs blasting and guns firing, Klebold and Harris came to waste several of their fellow students and shake their faith at Columbine. In one KMFDM song, they state, "Our records have stickers with a warning, because they're no good for kids. KMFDM forwards the ultimate sound, and a message from Satan if you turn it around." Rolling Stone magazine understood the incredible power of music to influence people and culture, declaring, quote, "A song or an album can change your life. A great concert will change it on the spot." Sadly, when it was all over, Klebold and Harris had changed the lives of 12 students and 1 teacher by killing them and changing the lives of several others forever. Klebold and Harris sought to conclude the nightmare at Columbine by blowing themselves to hell with their shotguns, words also found in KMFDM's music. An atrocious act that they perhaps believed would make their rock gods KMFDM proud of them.
Why is this happening? Why is this happening?
They're certainly not the cause of it. Not the cause of it.
KMFDM, of course, was not the only destructive group that encouraged evil that Klebold and Harris were into. They were also into the German industrial band Rammstein. Two members of Rammstein were thrown into jail after simulating male anal sex with an erupting phallus on stage. After being confronted with the news that 2 of their fans, Klebold and Harris, had murdered several people in the schoolyard, the MTV News Gallery reported that Rammstein defended their lyrics by stating that there were no, quote, lyrical content that could have possibly influenced such behavior. They declared that their music was all about love in all of its shapes and variations. You be the judge. What you are now seeing is a song called Weiss's Fleisch, all about not love, but about going into the schoolyard and killing other people.